Hello everyone, welcome to our next episode in What Happens Next. What Happens Next is a series of conversations with various artists, arts managers, sound engineers, designers, and a lot of art related people who are around the globe. Today we're going to speak with Varun, who's an avid street photographer and a journalist. He is pursuing his passion in journalism and he is currently a freelance journalist. He believes in visual storytelling through his photographs. Let's speak with Varun and let us know what he's planning to go ahead with this pandemic in this present situation. And let's hear about his projects, his aspirations, and what he considers is going to happen next after this pandemic. So let's dive in.
What are you up to this quarantine? What are you doing? இன்ஸ்டாகிராம், ஃபேஸ்புக், யூடியூப்ல நிறைய வீடியோஸ் அடிக்கடி போடுவீங்க. நானும் நிறைய பார்த்துருக்கேன். பட் இப்ப குவாரண்டைன் எவ்வளோ கம்மியான மாதிரி தெரியுது. ஐ திங்க்
Mm, I felt like I don't want to post anything because I don't know. I didn't feel like it. Number one. Other than that,
ஓகே.
it's kind of a time where everyone is like locked into one room. I thought keeping yourself confined into one room will make you creative, but it's not my cup of a tea. Maybe I don't feel like it. Like first 10 days, I was able to do something, but after that I got I was not interested in creating anything, so I
ஓகே.
instead I started to read a lot of books and watch a lot of movies, play a lot of games, watch a lot of cartoons, and I felt like consuming a lot of art is more than
Yeah, I'm also doing the same, consuming. How is this quarantine been for? எப்படி போயிட்டு இருக்கு? And are you having something in your mind to do during this quarantine? நிறைய பேர் நிறைய பண்றாங்க. And yeah, obviously, when you have time to get back to things, you might have some projects that you may have in your closet, but it hasn't been in your pipeline because of some of the prospects or something. So என்ன பண்றீங்க இந்த குவாரண்டைன்ல? How has it been going?
so. Yeah, at the early stages of our lockdown, there was a lot of pictures that I didn't even touch to actually retouch at all. So what I did was I thought of actually working on all those pictures,
Hmm.
and I'm very bad at this photoshopping and doing this post processing with all the pictures that I do, because I don't have the patience to sit for an hour and then just to sit there and reduce the contrast, increase the brightness. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a person who walks around a lot. I don't sit in one place. So what happened was I started to work on it, and finally I found a project that I did like last year, and I
Hmm.
thought I should sit and work on it right now. And what happened was I did get a very good outcome, because my father, he just walked past my laptop and he saw that and he was like, that's a really good photo, because you don't get
Uh,
compliment from,
yeah.
yeah, that's not very easy thing. So that happened. So I felt like, okay, so I really think this picture should go out on, other, I need to publish these pictures somewhere. So
Okay.
I just got the hard drive out and I put it in another laptop, and everything was gone.
Wow.
So the hard drive was not working, and that screwed me up a lot, because I had a lot of projects that I need to submit. At the same time, a lot of projects that I had to discuss with a lot of people, and
Okay.
that just broke my flow, and I felt very bad. Then after 2 months of the lockdown, I got the hard drive retrieved, and I hope, fortunately, I got a lot of files back, and I
Okay.
got the pictures also back. So I feel like right now I don't even feel like posting it. I'm in that kind of a mood. I don't know why. It's just the mood that's getting altered. Other than that, I have a lot of things in my mind. I just
Hmm.
don't have the proper motivation for now. Maybe one day I would be getting that motivation.
And I think in one of our previous What Happens Next meet, one other guest mentioned this point exactly. She mentioned something like students are attending Zoom classes, which is fine, but after a point of time, they're lacking motivation to just even to log in and continue their education at all. So yeah, it's been
True,
pretty
true.
tiring for me too. Sure.
Mm,
And
mm.
And for others who are watching this, Varun and I know each other from our college days. I think it's been 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah, so this quarantine is actually a good time to catch up with people I know a lot.
Yeah, true,
Yeah,
true,
and
true.
how is that been for you? Yeah,
Weirdly, I talk to a lot of people, but
yeah, I
this
know that
quarantine just,
personally.
this quarantine just shrunk me. Like I started to find a circle which is very close to me, and but right now I'm just trying to catch up with a lot of lot of people that I really want to have deep conversations, something
Okay,
like about politics around us, and
okay,
talking about art. So I was doing a lot of conversations with a lot of artists before, but at one point of time I felt like, why am I even doing this? So I just put it on hold. People were like asking me to do it again and again, but I felt like I should just put it on hold because I
yeah,
wasn't
I am one
interested
of
in
those people,
doing it.
of course.
Okay, so I wasn't interested in doing a lot other than that. So I felt like I need to give it some space and then later on, get back to it. Maybe you will have a refreshed idea.
Yeah, and when I was in college, when I was studying, I noticed that, yeah, as you said, you talk to a lot of people and you roam around a lot of places within Chennai. At that point of time in college, you were going to places that I didn't even know they were in Chennai.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of guys got inspired from you, from your photographs,
Mm.
from your style, or from your perspective in general. It's actually disheartening for fans like me that you couldn't go out and make art.
When someone says that I'm inspired from your photo, I'm your fan, and all, it makes me cringe so bad. I'm so happy
Okay.
that people are actually seeing my photos. That's more than enough. But you have a long way to go. But it's their individual opinion. Like if you feel like that, then I'm feeling happy at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like we didn't have we didn't even think that we could take up and risk our lives and do what we love, right? Even for me to take up graphic design from an engineering background, it was actually hard for me, both on my family side and my personal side. Seeing guys like you take up your passion, which is photography, and then combine it with something you're good at, which is journalism, combining them together and doing what you love is actually amazing. And to be honest, guys like you inspired a lot for me to actually have that courage to speak up and do what I love. It's not just your form of art; it's also maybe how you approach it and how you speak to people about it.
Yeah, maybe. Even I had a lot of problems with my own family when I started doing, something else other than engineering. Because for the past 4 years, you tell to your parents that I will go there, go to Germany, learn engineering and
Yeah.
stuff, and then later on everything gets shed away. But I thought about it a lot. A lot of people around me actually motivated at the same time. I felt very bad. Even though I'm not having a proper job which is going to earn me a lot, I still feel happy that I took the risk to do what I actually want to do,
Hmm.
because it feels like the risk was completely worth it, because the experience that I had for the past year was one of the best times that I have ever had in my whole life. So it's like that.
Wow, you're saying about journalism in particular, or uh,
Yeah, journalism in particular, because for my own life, that was the first ever choice that I have ever made, which actually made sense. So I would actually put it out there because there were hard times, but I never even thought like I should go back to the life engineering days where I was. So it took a lot of time. Like a lot of people around me also motivated. A lot of
okay.
failures, a lot of criticism from people. At some point of time, it just felt like I need to go there because I feel like that is the best place for me. So I went there, and
Hmm.
yeah, I'm kind of in a very nice place where I want.
It's good that you actually found your place and you are being there. So, you've passed out of your college, right? So what are you looking at right now? When we spoke yesterday, you mentioned that you were doing freelancing for some media channels, but uh, what are your plans up to after this quarantine, or even if I could mention after? I don't know if I could mention after quarantine.
Obviously.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, we will be having a great time after this whole thing. But I'm not a person who will recreate a scene.
Okay.
So if you're going to go and what normal journalists do is they just go there and meet people and then write them down in a sheet of paper, and then they write it out while they sit somewhere else. So
Okay.
I'm not that kind of a person, because I feel like to create something is a very challenging thing, because when it comes to art, drawing or painting something, or using coral draw coral draw to draw something, that is like a very 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 you have to use your brain a lot. I'm not that kind of a
Definitely.
person. So you need to use the brain a lot. You have to use your imagination a lot. Well, that is not the same thing for me. So I'm the kind of a person who just takes my camera everywhere, documents everything. So I'm more of a what would I say? I just document everything that I see, and at some point of time, I feel like this is the story that I want to tell. I sit with them, I talk to them, I make them feel comfortable, and start filming. So I'm more
Okay.
of looking forward for opportunities where I can, document life, talk their problems out. So
Okay.
I'm like a documentary filmmaker. Maybe that is what my ultimate goal is.
Okay.
I'm more of a person who is behind the camera more than in front of it.
Yeah,
So
I
I
know that
just
very well.
want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to do a lot of technical stuff, more than standing in front of it and presenting it. But uh, when it comes to creator, no one will be okay with it if you're not going to show them proof that you can do it better. So the
Yeah.
proof should be, you should be that person who is involved in that proof. So I
Yeah.
had to stand in front of the camera to prove people that I can be better. So that
Okay.
is also another experience. So I'm just moving with the flow. I don't have a plan. Like, I just feel like
Okay.
the whole lockdown thing has taught me that you should go with the flow. So I'm just going with it.
Yeah, actually, one other dance I mentioned that I think in our previous series, she mentioned something like you don't have to essentially invest in the future all the time. If you just invest in what's the present is, the future will itself unfold itself, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
very true right now.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any what can I say? Any kind of thought of maybe I could speak to these kinds of people to make a film, or how they survived quarantine, or do you have some other topic in your mind like that? The
Yeah,
kind
I
of
have
people or the kind of projects you are gonna do after or during this quarantine?
I have a lot of things in my mind.
Hmm.
I figured out a lot of interesting things during this lockdown, because I started following different kind of news which didn't make to a lot of news media outlets.
Okay.
So it's the stories like how some countries in Africa, I think it's Sudan, I'm not sure. Some countries in Africa, they used machine guns and tear gas to fear away the locusts in the farms. So
Okay.
that is one kind of crazy things are happening all around you. It's just that how you are going to see it. And I also learned a lot of international affairs, like how Switzerland is very neutral in spite of
Okay.
all the they joined Switzerland only at the year of 2002, I think. Yeah, it was 2002.
In
And
Europe,
they,
EU, I think.
yeah,
Okay.
no, UN, United Nations.
Okay.
So they were one of the last very well-known countries to join United Nations, because they make sure that they are very neutral to the world around them. So
Hmm.
those kind of interesting things I'm coming across. So I feel like right now I was a person who always sees the poverty as a newsy material. Like, everyone will be that
Yeah.
kind of a person as a
Yeah.
journalist at start. But right now there's more than poverty itself. Like you have some things that poverty is beyond, just the ribs showing out of some old
Yeah.
children sitting in a muddy floor. So it's more
Yeah.
than that. I want to show it in a very different way. Yeah, I'm trying to get there. Maybe I might not get there. Maybe it might take a long time, but I'm okay with it. You know?
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually eager to see this because whenever I've seen your photographs, uh, you had a different perspective. Your photographs seemed to be maybe taken in a click, but had a lot of thought put into the process and the final output itself. Kind of felt like that
Thank
too.
you. Sharing someone's story in your Instagram profile and it's not going to bring any change to their life. It's kind of I didn't find a proper reason to actually continue it, so I felt like I should just put it behind and then move on
Okay.
to some other direction.
Okay. That being said, what do you think of the? There's a lot of there's a really lot of traffic on Instagram and Facebook right now, as you might have noticed. There's a lot of workshops happening online, a lot of events happening online. I think even major events across India, music events, galas, festivals, everything is happening online, and most of them happen to crash on the popular hours. Uh, as a journalist, what do you think this leads us to? Is this necessary, or should we go through this, or should we follow some other different strategy uh, rather than following the same trend that we have been doing this Valentine till now?
I feel like it's very important that you bring in technologies in terms of learning things because
Mm.
it will be very efficient for the people who are actually learning, who really want to learn.
Yeah.
Um, I spoke to a couple of my friends and he's doing his master's in some kind of hardware, computer science, something that sorts in
Okay.
USA. And I asked him a question. Like right now, you are having all your classes in Zoom calls or Microsoft Teams. Do you feel like you really want to go back to classroom and sit in front of a blackboard and just listen to the class once again? He was like, actually I do. I asked him why. He was like, my work is mostly about hardware based materials where I
Yeah.
really want to sit in front of a machine and work. So I said, so what if you get only opportunities like to step out of your house only for those things, instead you have all your classes online? And he was like, yeah, that would do. Yeah, that would
Okay.
do, because it will save a lot of time for people. And I feel like it's very important, but at the same time, it's very easy to scam online. It's very easy. I
Absolutely.
know a lot of I know a lot of people that I have met in person. Those people, what they do is they bring out a different message in terms of teaching art.
Okay.
So that is a different message completely. Like, when you're going to take a uh, when you're going to say that neo-noir film is where you have a lot of partial, like, when you teach neo-noir as something else other than what neo-noir actually means.
Mm.
Okay, so that is where all those people are there. So, like,
Okay.
let
Well,
you get it right.
kind of what these people show is what they understand as what the art itself is, and they're not
Yeah,
getting to maybe explore themselves more than that.
I have. Well, yeah, sticking with the phone all day long. What you really want is a lot of attention. But what happens is that you are educating the audience in a very different way,
Yeah.
and all you could do is let them know, like, this is not what it is. Okay, but all these Instagram and Facebook has made it easy for people to block people right away. So people just block you because you gave them a proper criticism and they take it in a very wrong way.
Yeah.
So that also happens in the other half. I feel like it's a very cautious environment. You need to be very cautious. So
Okay.
you don't know, like the ability to trust someone will change if internet is going to influence our lives. I
Okay.
can see a lot of people who are scared because of fake news running around. So it's unwanted panic around.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we that's where a caution needs to be. So
Mm.
I think things will change. I feel like it's
Okay.
a boon at the same time a bane somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. It has given us opportunities to explore what technology has given us to explore. I don't think we have used Zoom meetings this much earlier. Not just Zoom meetings, not
Mm-hmm.
even online classes either. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of people signing up for online classes that are apart from their syllabuses in their universities or schools. Even school kids are getting on Zoom classes these days.
Yeah. There's one funny instance where I saw a video of
Mm.
a person who was sitting in front of a laptop listening to a class wearing a uniform. So it's actually funny, it's very funny to see people sitting in front of a class and wearing a
Yeah,
uniform.
yeah,
But it's important. Like
yeah.
uniform is a very important thing. It's actually funny to see that. I don't question things when
Mm.
they put things on internet. This whole Black Lives Matter has taught me a whole different perspective of how internet can be. This whole thing. It's
Yeah,
kind of different right now. People how they are using internet. It puts a question onto you like who is the reliable source that we need to follow, who
yeah,
is the
definitely.
credible source. that
Yeah.
puts up a question. But if you ask me, my mother or my father who are scrolling through WhatsApp, whatever comes in WhatsApp is a message for them, whatever
Yeah,
comes in
definitely.
WhatsApp is a news for them.
Yeah.
So it kind of changes my whole perception. I feel like I will just trust what I see in front of me. That's how I have evolved.
Okay. And how has this journalism course changed you in a way that how you consume news earlier and consume it right now, even including the sources of the news? Earlier, the
So
way we
I don't
consume the source itself is different, right?
I started to read a lot of newspaper only after I joined this J school, and
Okay.
then I slowly uh, saw a lot of. Have you seen this movie called Tani Orval?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
in that movie he just says this like you see the first page, you read something, and then you go into the center pages and you read something. Slowly you will connect the dots from center page to the first
Mm,
page.
yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
what happened. So
Oh,
that
okay.
happens. You
Okay.
start to feel like that. And then at one point of time you will just throw away your papers. You won't read at all. Like for the
Okay.
first 30 days of my lockdown, for the first lockdown, I was so informed that I got so irritated. I threw off my phone. I didn't listen to any news or read any news. I didn't follow news at all.
Oh,
So I thought taking break from news is very important because you always get very addictive to get, you keep yourself informed.
hmm. Okay.
And I know a lot of people who actually do that. They always want things to be on their tips, but it
Yeah.
gets onto your nerves and it creates a block in your mind. You won't know what you want to write about, what you want to read about. You won't
Yeah.
explore into a particular stuff completely. It will put you on hold. So
Okay.
all I do is when I was in my J school, they have a very good, excellent library where we have all the papers, all English, Tamil, Hindi, all the papers. So what we do is we go there and we read two newspapers every day, one Tamil newspaper and one magazine, so that to make sure that all the news actually comes into one paper, or is it actually reliable, which one is more reliable. So those
Okay.
kind of practices started to evolve, and right now I just follow only three news outlets. I
Okay.
don't follow anything else. So
Okay.
every day morning I will watch news. Every day morning I will watch news on TV, one reliable news, and then one local channel, and then I will go back to my newspaper, and then some of the Twitter accounts that I follow. That's all.
Okay. So based upon collective analyzation, maybe you'll come to a conclusion of what the actual thing is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And but most of the regular people, I don't think will have the time to go through this stuff and manually check if these facts are correct and if this is news is totally correct or not. Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's another hand of this whole journalism field in all over India. The problem is that if you take, for instance, USA or UK, they have in UK they have only 4 news channels. They have
Okay.
only 4 news channels. So in UK till date, people actually don't think a news outlet would support some kind of politician or a party at any point of
Okay.
time, because they have only 4 news source, and
Mhm.
they say one of them is kind of very quirky and they are not proper journalism because it deals with a lot of yellow
Okay.
journalism in the sense they do a lot of personal stories,
Okay.
some kind of entertainment news all the time. So that is a different story. But in India, it's not like that. You have around 23 national channels,
Yeah.
so it's not something reliable to put on.
Mhm.
So that's another thing. Mhm.
Uh, During this quarantine, since there has been literally zero uh, physical interaction between friends or your office circles or anyone they will have a physical circle, right? Since that's
Mhm.
absent here, I think. Do you think the news media is consuming us a lot in this time?
Yeah, I had a doubt when I was in this whole lockdown scenario. I thought of something about all these news. I questioned myself whether I'm consuming a lot of information, which is more than actually what I ordinarily consume. You know,
Okay.
every
Yeah.
the everyday consumption is too much that I can't even handle it in a normal day.
Yeah.
So, um,
I think a lot of us
it's,
had
it,
the same kind of thing when this quarantine
mm,
started. We all had the
mm,
panic that we had to. We thought we were forced to get alerted on the regular happenings of what's happening here, what's happening there, what's being issued to us by the government, and those kind of stuff. So I think that's a common thing
okay.
that we all experience collectively.
Yeah. It's very different.
Yeah.
Right now, the whole media industry is kind of in a rubble. It happens.
Since you're confined to your home this quarantine period,
Okay,
uh,
okay.
how has that affected your street photography part? And has that street photography part of you affected the journalism part of you?
Yeah, sitting inside my home, I feel like I really want to go in the streets and shoot.
Mhm.
I really want to. I have put some places in my map so that I can go and visit it. Maybe revisit it. I want to go to some places around the country that I really want to visit again.
Okay.
Kerala, I really want to visit again because it's one of the best places that I have ever been. So those kind of things are still in my mind. I really want to go to, it just makes me very eager to step out of my home and start clicking pictures like normal days. But
Okay.
it's very unlikely that it will turn back to normal very soon. So I think it will be there. But other than that, the whole thing about street photographer being a journalism, I feel like it all goes in hand. I'm so glad that I was clicking a lot of pictures even before
Mhm.
this whole
Yeah.
journalism thing, because it has helped me a lot. And right now, since I'm not going out a lot, not clicking a lot of pictures, I feel like yes, I do feel like I'm not doing a lot of work in journalism too,
Okay.
because that's where a picture is where every story starts for me.
Yeah.
It's not where it is not something like that I see and I don't write it down because I'm very lazy to write it down, and I'm not a person who's very active. I'm that kind of a person who's hyper and walks around with a camera. I just want things to be done ASAP. I'm that kind of a person.
Okay.
So I feel like the journalism thing has affected me a lot because I am not clicking a lot of pictures. If I
Okay.
do something like that, maybe I can. No, I think things will be back on track someday.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I hope we should all be optimistic about stepping out of homes again. There's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of mental health issues that's surrounding this pandemic, of course. And yeah, I wanted to ask this with you. Uh, when you make coverages on articles or incidences, uh, uh, when you're supposed to predict the future in some instance, do you go to the past for a reference, or do you foresee the future upon the events as they are happening, or do you follow any such pattern in general, or does journalism follow any of such patterns in general?
Yeah, they do. Actually, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened was, there is always this particular thing where you need to follow news a lot. If you want to know what's news industry is all about, who's going to post first. That's what you call it as hot news. So
Yeah.
you want to bring it ASAP and bring that breaking news planner every time on television channel, and even for the smallest thing that's going to
Yeah.
happen. So it's very important that you follow up on news. But right now, I feel like the whole industry is getting refined and people are sorting out to connect the dots slowly. But
Okay.
right now, what news channels usually do is they just use the past. What were the stories that happened before? This can be a possibilities, and they will compare instances with similar instances, and they will try to bring out a proper thing. So when we were doing a particular project, what happened was it was Brexit.
Okay.
So it was a very crucial time, and we had a similar exercise where we had to predict whether the whole Great Britain is going to get out of the European Union or not. And
Hmm.
what we had to do was we had to sit down and think about what will be the instance. We had to sit down, like we
Hmm.
have mock editorial reviews where we sit down and gather news every day, and we
Yeah.
check whether it will come out or not. So
Ah.
it
Yeah.
is a normal process that they usually do, and it is very important for us to know history is also to end up in the first informed, but you need to inform it in a very clear manner so that it's very reliable.
Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. That being said, do you think this pandemic situation is comparable to the uh, flu that was widely affecting people during the World War Time? I think the First World War, if I'm right. Do you
Yeah.
think it's
It
comparable, or do you think there are differences that these two things have? Should we
you
compare them
cannot
at all?
yeah, you can find similarities, but you cannot compare them, obviously, because you didn't have a lot of development at that point of time, because we didn't have a lot of missions to deal with.
Hmm.
Lives were taken very easily at that point of time because it was
Yeah.
completely colonization was still there, and it was taken in a very light manner. But I feel like right now we are dealing it in a very strong way. But I'm not going to talk about how India is handling, but the whole world is actually trying their best to handle all these things. But I feel like we are still failing to take these things into consideration, especially the history, because there is a popular saying which actually says history repeats itself. So it's not
Yeah.
something new that we are witnessing every day.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we look into all these history and take them under consideration. If not, we cannot we cannot compare them. We can just find inferences, and you can take some of the results and try it out on this particular scenario, because this kind of viruses, it is not something that we cannot stop, but it will just take time. We need to make sure that we are safe, and
Yeah,
all the governments are doing their best. And I feel like you need not compare it, but take a lot of results from the previous calamities that we had.
yeah, definitely. Learning from the past is something that, as you said, we have to. Um, I don't know how to put it in words, but uh, whenever the history repeats itself, we have to take inferences and we have to learn ourselves and
Yeah.
maybe adapt ourselves to the present.
Hmm.
In these days, we see it as a steep increase in the concept called freelancing, especially in India. There are a lot of freelancers out there, but for people who do codes or designs or who do write-ups, maybe they'll find it the same way as it was before the pandemic. But for journalists and photographers like you, this has been a different experience that uh, a different experience in general. How do you think? How do you think that this? How do you think you can turn around this situation and have a stable mind to continue with the work that you're doing?
uh, Number one is to stay safe. That must be the first thing that you always need to have in your mind. There was a
Yeah,
lot of photo. I did step out of my house for a lot of days to cover certain stuff and send it to people. During Janta curfew, I was out. I was going covering different places, and I feel like it's very important that you put your safety first, and then do all your work that you're going to do.
definitely.
And
Yeah,
if you are not going to have a stable calm mind, and you just start to fear about the environment around you, your work won't be normal.
yeah,
So all you need to do is focus on what's important. I actually didn't feel like I was in a lockdown for the first 30 days that when I was staying inside my home doing
Oh,
nothing, because it was
okay.
very normal for me. I don't know why. And things started to get tight only after those first 30 days. I felt like I wasn't doing anything. And then I started to feel very down. So I'm still figuring it out. But while going out and covering during these kind of times, it's very important that you stay safe, even before you're going to complete your work or anything.
Mhm.
Because to stay creative, you need to make sure that uh, you're healthy, or else things
Definitely.
things can change into a very different thing. And the second thing that you can do is push yourself. Ask someone to push you. That is the least thing that you can ever do. But people who are actually alone, they need to take care of themselves. So
Definitely. Yeah. And
that
support and even words of encouragement, that's actually some things that have uh, really made me continue to do the work I've been doing personally, even my personal projects,
Mhm.
maybe.
That is also another big conversation that we need to always have within our artists community. That it's very important that you share your you know uh, your thoughts, your problems with each other, so that
Yeah.
there will be a kind of discussion among yourself. There
Yeah.
were times, I know a lot of wedding photographers who had had a very bad time at these times. And they were very simple, like big photographers. They were giving advices to the smaller photographers, freelance workers. They were just saying in a very simple words, like all you can do is develop a new skill and start earning in that way. And I'm
Okay.
doing that right now. I'm not actually doing anything related to which can earn me a lot. But right now, I'm actually spending a lot to learn a lot of skills on online, learning a lot of course. So that is the least that you could do. Sharpen your skills a lot, and then learn something else to make sure that you can survive a future pandemic like this. You never
Yeah,
know.
definitely.
So
Definitely.
so it is very important you do at the same time share your thoughts with others, talk your problems to others. It's very important.
Yeah.
That happens.
And I've seen a lot of online discussion forums that are being opening up.
Mm,
When I even log into LinkedIn, my personal LinkedIn, I see a lot of industry leaders open up their channels so that they're asking people to send their resumes or things like that to help the people who are actually being laid off during this period, and even offering free mentoring sessions for them to make themselves better during this quarantine. So there are a lot of initiatives from the leaders of the respective industries, not just art, but maybe engineering, IT, tech, anything. I've seen a lot of guys doing those sort of stuff. Yeah,
that's the
and
least thing that you can ever do, like sell positivity.
yeah,
That is what they are doing.
yeah,
But I would just say give free positivity for free for now, at
yeah,
least, and then later on find business chances in that.
mm, yeah. That's true.
I have
And
seen a lot of photographers right now going home and shooting weddings, going to others' home because they're having small scale weddings in their own homes. So I have seen wedding
you mean
photographers
quarantine wedding during the quarantine hours?
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you can
Oh,
have a minimum of 50 people, I think, in one wedding.
okay.
So they are actually having photographers for that. So they
Okay.
are shooting inside their homes and trying to make it in a really good way. That is also a nice thing. Like you will earn a buck or two even though for not having anything.
Yeah, that's true. And these kind of experiences will etch a part of a memory for sure.
Yeah, sure. No, we will tell our next generation like look at this, and they will all be there is this meme. Think about all these future kids who will be remembering what all happened in the year of 2020 and
Yeah.
what month. Yeah, it is actually, but things will get normal, but it will just take a lot of time. All we need to do is stay patient. You
Mm.
know, with the cases growing in all around our locality. Right now, I'm in nearby Valswag. It's the
Mm.
fourth. Uh, it's actually the fourth area in the whole city, which is actually having a lot of cases. All you can do is just sit tight because you won't have holidays after
That's a definite thing.
that.
Yeah.
You cannot expect Saturdays off, so things will change.
Even our work habits will change, and
Let's see. Things will change.
definitely, definitely. Okay. Thanks a lot for being with us, and
Oh, it's okay.
best wishes for
Thank
your
you
career.
for thank you for actually having me in this whole conversation because it was really nice for me to look back at things, thinking
Mm.
what about I was doing in this whole lockdown. And that brings back to my question: what happens next? It will just move on. we will just
Yeah.
we will just figure our own way and just go with the flow. That's how things will be.
Thank you. I hope this video is useful for you. Tomorrow we're having Vignesh, who is a coffee consultant and someone who makes coffee perfect in every table in and around Chennai in various restaurants. So, see you guys. Stay safe. Bye bye.